Do not spike the ball unless there's not enough time to run 4 plays, or however many are left. So let me talk more about this. If you gain a first down and the clock is temporarily stopped, you need 20 seconds to run 4 plays, right? About 5 seconds to play. If you spike the ball, you're going to get, and you throw 3 or more completions, you're going to give the team the ball back with 5 seconds left. Follow me? It's so stupid. And TV commentators in America are so dumb. And most of them played quarterback in the NFL. They're always yelling, oh, they should spike it, they should spike it. Don't spike it if you have time to run 4 plays. If you don't, then spike it so you have time to run whatever's left. So if I get a first down and there's only 15 seconds left, I can only run 3 plays. So I better get the clock stopped to make sure I can run my 3 plays. Very underutilized thing in the 2-minute offense. Now don't make your quarterback do math. The play caller or the head coach, somebody better be on the sideline telling them to spike it or run a play. So that's what you need to be looking for. Here's your little chart that play callers and head coaches need to know. So it takes on average 5 seconds to run a pass play in a 2-minute situation. On average. It's going to take you 5 seconds. So you need 20 seconds to run 4 plays. 15 seconds on second down, 10 seconds on third down. Again, deep wide receivers can substitute. Don't spike on a temporarily stopped clock. This is another thing that American TV commentators always screw up. You get your first down, the ball's in the middle of the field, the chains move, you've got 15 seconds. You better have a play called in 15 seconds. So as soon as that judge steps away, you have your quick snap count, the ball's to the quarterback, and you're gone. Most teams get up there and they wait and then they spike it. And they had time to run 4 plays, and now they're only running 3 because they're stupid. Sorry. They need to be ready to have a quick play. We have an automatic call. For us, it's 69. It means it's 4 verticals. It means the snap count, the protection, everything. So we have several automatics we can call right away. So as soon as that ball's ready, we snap it and we're ready to go. We've never used it. Well, we have. You rarely use it, but you got to be ready for it because these seconds are really precious. Again, head coach controls timeouts. Head coach should control spikes. Now, this could be someone else. This could be, if the head coach doesn't want to do that, someone needs to be in charge of the timeouts, and someone needs to be in charge of the spikes, not the quarterback. He's got enough other things going on, thinking about when do I call a timeout and should I spike it. That should come from the sideline. Wide receivers can't switch sides of the field. You may have a guy you love to be over there, and he runs a crossing route. Well, now he's stuck on this side. Wherever they're closest to, they've got to get lined up quickly. Another thing that people waste time on is your right receiver ends up on the left side of the field and he runs all the way back over. So you can't do that. So some good mechanics about 2-minute offense. The 4-minute offense is very important. 4-minute offense is we're ahead, and the only way we can lose is if they get the ball back. So you want to keep the ball, possess the ball, and run out the remaining clock. Keep the ball away from the sideline. Now you can call a play to the outside. The players need to know to not run out of bounds. I showed a triple option play yesterday. I didn't mention it, but and no one may have seen it, but our quarterback ran for about 22 yards, and then he just went down at the end of the play, in bounds. We were in a 4-minute offense situation there at the end of the second half. We need to get a couple first downs and go home. So he stayed in bounds. We're not going to use timeouts. Even if we take a delay, let the clock run down. Don't call a timeout if something's messed up. Let the clock run. Utilize the full play clock. So you can make sure the quarterback knows to run down, snap it on 1. Now, I don't like to ice our offense. I don't like our offensive line to sit there for 25 seconds. So I will slow down the speed I send the play. So when they get the play, they can leave the huddle quickly, go to the line of scrimmage, and run the play. That's what we're used to doing. We get out of the huddle, we get to the line of scrimmage, and then we run our play. So I will just keep them in the huddle by not sending in a play. So that's how I prefer to do it. You don't have to be in a hurry. Now you can get up slowly. Keep kicks in bounds out of the end zone and don't down them. Another thing that teams don't really understand is if we do have to punt, and we punt it and they don't catch it, don't down it. Let it roll around and make the officials blow it dead. 3, 4, 5 seconds could be had. Teams down the ball too quickly. Let it roll. Now protect it, make sure they're not going to pick it up, but let it roll. There's also, when you get into a kneel down situation, you can take a fast knee if they have no timeouts, or you can take a slow knee, where you can maybe take a few steps back and then wait till they get there, and then you can take the knee quickly. Make sure your quarterback tells the referee which one he's going to do. If he takes a fast knee, he's protected. If they touch him, it's a personal foul. If he takes a slow knee, now it's a football play. Now he's not protected. So make sure the officials know which one you're in. All right, fundamentals. Within our run game, we'll talk about some of the things that we do. The biggest difference between under center and shotgun, in my opinion, is what you're trying to accomplish with your pass drops. If you're under center, the depth of your drop is really important. So if I'm going to take a snap from under center, I need to get, my first step needs to be big, and I need to get away from line of scrimmage, because I need to develop some depth. If I'm in the shotgun, I'm already 3, 4, 5, 5.5, depending on what you do, yards of depth. Now I don't need any depth at all. So my first step can be right here if I want to be, versus under center. Pass drops, and I think this is really underutilized too. Pass drops should be matched to how long the quarterback will hold the ball. The worst thing a quarterback can do is to take a short drop and be standing here doing this. It's uncomfortable. He's also a target. Because now the pass rushers know right where to go. So if he's going to hold the ball for 3 seconds, his pass drop should be 3 seconds. So he can either go slower, he can go real slow, 1, 2, 3, and throw it, or he can take more steps. I can take 5. They both take the same amount of time. So our quarterbacks will have some freedom in how they do it. But the worst thing for a quarterback to do is to be standing here, doing this. Just don't make them do it. They want to have their feet if they, moving if they have to, but time to drop. So if you're under center again, depth is important as you start. If you're in the shotgun, you're not taking steps for depth, you're taking steps for time. So time your drops with when the quarterback will have it. You can add hitches, so you can do a hitch to add time. You can not hitch if you need less time. So match your pattern. Same thing with your run fakes. We throw a lot of things off of run fakes. So if I'm going to fake a fly stretch, and I know I'm going to throw it quickly, I may not take any shuffles at all and come right into my throw. If I'm going to hold it a little bit longer, I may take 1 shuffle with them and be ready to throw, or I may shuffle with them twice if I need longer. I may shuffle, and now be ready to throw. However long I need to have my eyes downfield and know where I want to go is how long you should take your pass drop. So again, the only time, in my opinion, that your quarterback needs to worry about depth is if he's under center. And then he's got to get a big first step to get away. And many people under center? A few? Okay. Because I won't talk about it if it didn't matter to anybody. Okay, so read drills that we use. I'm assuming a lot of people will do some sort of zone read. We'll do all of our read drills with our running back group. So we'll get the running back group together with the quarterback. So we'll set up a quarterback. We'll set up a running back. We have, we call it a hose. Emil, you sell hoses? Hoses with the position markers? You sell those?
Yeah.
What do you call them? Okay, line marker. So we call it a hose. It's got little sections for the center, the guard, tackle. You know what I'm talking about? I think those are really important. If that's a piece of equipment that you don't have, I think it's a piece of equipment that's worth investing in. It works really well in your run game. So then we'll set our read defender up, usually with a coach. So if we're going to read a defensive end, we'll put a coach there. We'll have another quarterback be the center. And then we'll also add whatever the running back's keys are. If the key's a linebacker, we'll have a running back come be the linebacker. So we set up a run play basically without linemen, unless we need to read linemen. but generally we're reading the defense. So when the ball's snapped, they're going to go through their footwork. The quarterback's going to be keying here. The running back will be looking at whatever his key is there. And then, so for example, if we're simulating a zone play, and the tackle we're going to come up and block, he can either get kicked out or he can scrape. So he'll cut off of whatever that running back does. So we'll use our own players to simulate, and we'll set up all these read drills. And whether we're in a pistol alignment for our triple option dive, whatever it may be, we can incorporate our wings. And we can add another coach now to be the pitch player. So the wing could come around, and now he can take quarterback or he can take pitch, and the quarterback would react. We'll also build this up. So early in the season, the quarterback will just do this on air. So he'll just have a coach there, no running back. He'll go through his footwork, and then he'll either give it or he'll do whatever he needs to do. Then we'll add the running back. In the meantime, the running back's working on his footwork, so when we come together, the mesh is good. And then we'll add the wing, and so we'll build the drill. Our run game read drills, we'll build them from small to large, incorporating more players. And that's really all that we do. We'll drill every week. We'll drill our entire run game. Our triple option, our speed option, our dive reads. We'll drill everything that we need to do. All of our meshes. We'll drill with that. Any other questions about run game execution? I know folks like talking about pass, and so I'll do that more. Any other things about run game? Okay. Okay, pass game. Stance needs to be functional, in my opinion. You see all kinds of stuff. For us, our quarterback is going to have a slightly staggered stance. Most of the time, their right foot's going to be forward just a little bit, but it doesn't have to be. They could switch it if they really wanted to. The advantage of the left foot back for right-hand quarterback is you get a little bit of extra depth, not that you need it, but on your pass drop. But we want them to be able to move any direction. Our guys have to move as much forward and sideways as they do backwards. So we won't be in one of these, because if I wanted to move sideways, I have to get into an athletic stance and then move sideways. So we want them to be in an athletic stance that I could drop from here, I could run speed option from here, I could go into a dive read from here, I can do anything I want to do from a balanced stance. A natural stance is really your feet underneath your armpits. It's kind of a guide for us. This is the same stance that our quarterbacks will clean from, power clean. The same stance they'll squat in is where you play as an athlete. So that's where you should train your power movements from. Everyday drills I'll go into in a minute. Follow through is I think the least emphasized and the least understood component of throwing a football. When you project a football, you have three ways to do it. You have a lever, which is your arm. So a catapult, right? A long catapult, further throw. Shorter catapult, shorter throw. So on the release, you want your quarterback to make sure he's extending his arm, and you can just watch his elbow. If his elbow is not to his ear, he has a short lever. So it's not going to go as far. So it gets catapult. You put a long catapult, boulder goes a long way. Short catapult, not so far. And then the quarterback can think about that also. He can think as he's training, I've got to get my elbow above my ear. The ball should be released in front of the head with your hand on top of the ball. So a lot of times young quarterbacks, this is something you can emphasize. Their wrist needs to be flat, not curled in, but flat, and their fingers need to be on top of the football. It's tough to think about, is my wrist flat? So I tell quarterbacks, are your fingers on top of the football? So the fingers need to be on top of the football when they let go. It needs to be released out in front of your head. If you let go of it here, with your hand behind your elbow, one, you're going to hurt your elbow. Two, the ball is going to go sailing in the air. So we want a long extended lever. We want our hands on top of the ball, and the ideal release point is right here. That's where you want to let go of the ball. If you want to see my wrist and my fingers, there's my wrist and my fingers on top of the ball. Emphasize for the quarterback to snap his wrist down, turn his thumb out. Balls that spin fast are softer to catch. I don't understand why, but it is. Balls that spin slow are like bricks. They're difficult to catch. The more the ball spins, the better, the easier it is to catch. The spin rate's important. So to do that, your quarterback's going to push his fingers down as he lets go of the ball. And the first to come off is the pinky, the last to come off is the pointer finger, and by turning my wrist down, that's what makes the ball spiral out of my hand. So they need to emphasize snapping that wrist down and finishing with the wrist coming down and to the outside. So I think that's a real big one. So that's your first way that you project the ball. I'm getting to follow through. One is with the lever. Two is your hip development, which is rotation, torque. Your torque is the number two. How fast I can rotate my hips. Similar to you had that bat game in the other room. Same thing with a quarterback and a hitter. I want to keep my hips behind me, and then as I get ready to let go of the ball, my hips are going to lead me through, and then that pulls the bat through. Same thing with your arm. As I start my throw, and my hand comes up, right when my arm gets to the top, my hips are still closed. Now my hips snap open, and it pulls my arm through like a whip. Does that make sense? So your hips pull your arm forward. So the hip rotation is very important. So I'll get to hip development drills. So that's the second way. So I've got a lever, I've got torque. The third way is with weight transfer. So my weight transfer from my back foot to my front foot is the third way to push a football, and that's follow through. The quarterback stance, his weight should be just a little bit on the back foot. Can you even see me move? Just a little bit. You don't want to back like this. When you load your weight up a little bit on your back foot, it gives you more kinetic energy, more stored energy to transfer into the throw. So just a little teeny bit, probably 60%, not 75, but just about, now I'm 50%, 50-50, now I'm about 60%. So energy's on my back foot. When I start my throw, I'm going to step and my foot will turn open a little bit, but not totally open yet because I haven't opened my hips. So as my hands separate, the ball goes up, and I'm going to start my stride. My hips are closed. As my ball reaches its highest point, now my hips are going to come open. I'm going to push off my back foot. Don't step with the front foot. Push off the back foot, and as I bring the ball through, my back foot is going to come through with my right foot. So as my arm comes through, my back foot's going to come with it. So my weight starts here, it comes all the way through, and it finishes here. What do most quarterbacks do? Most quarterbacks do this. They've transferred no weight. Even NFL guys, you can't see it, but they transfer their weight. They'll end up here more on their front foot. I teach my guys to have a more full follow through because I don't have NFL quarterbacks. Their weight's going to come all the way through. So if I was going to, I'm not going to punch you, but if I was going to punch you and I did this, or if I did this, you already know which one's going to hurt more. Because I'm going to bring my weight through and I'm going to load up. It's the same thing. I can be a quarterback and I can do this, or I can be a quarterback and I can do this. Which balls have more velocity? The one with my weight transfer. The one with the weight transfer. So how do we drill that? We drill a follow through. My right arm and my right leg are attached like a puppet, wherever it goes. So as I bring my arm through, my back foot's with it, and I want to continue to walk right to my target. So I get the feel of a complete weight transfer. So we call that walk the follow through. So every throw I'll get set, I'm going to follow through right to my target, and then I'll catch the ball back to my partner, and I'll come back. Now eventually it'll get to, if I'm in the pocket, I can't always walk to my target. But I'll finish my follow through right here. I'll have a full weight transfer. I'll have a high lever. My hips will throw through the throw, and I'm going to finish right there through.
The same way out of the run?
It is throwing on the run.
Okay.
So, the great question. When I throw on the run, I have a great weight transfer. If I'm running at you, I'm walking the follow through.
Oh, okay.
It's the same thing. So a lot of guys like throwing on the run because they can throw it harder because they're transferring their weight. So just do it all the time anyway. Yes.
Could you teach us the difference in release points or shoulder level? How do you teach a quarterback like a hitch route or a fade route, where you want a lob pass or like a straight dart pass?
Right.
Like, what do you switch? Do you just switch release points, or do you?
Yeah. Good question. The only thing that changes, whether I'm going to throw a straight line dart, however far I can throw it, to a deep ball, is my shoulders at release. So I'm going to take my drop and I'm going to be set. If I'm throwing a deep ball, as I start my stride, my shoulders go to the angle I need the ball to go. It's a parabola. So whatever angle I need to be, I don't change anything. A lot of quarterbacks, to throw a deep ball, they'll do two things. They'll overstride. Now I can't move my hips. Or they'll overstride to big, or they'll drop the ball and get a long release. Long is slow. So they don't want to change anything. It's the same short stride, the same pushing off my back foot. All I change is hitch route, post route, Hail Mary. That's about it. Everything's the same. Short route, intermediate route, deep route. That's all I need to change. I want to emphasize again, pushing off the back foot. So again, the quarterback, to start his throw, they'll naturally think, step with this foot. See how I move my weight? I don't want to move my weight yet. I want to push off my back foot. So watch my knee. If I don't push off my back foot, versus if I do, where'd my knee go? It turned in, didn't it? So just stepping and pushing off my back foot. Big difference. It's getting me into the rotation, and it's changing my weight. I can do this and not shift any weight. But if I want to shift weight, push off that back foot, the knee naturally starts to turn in. You're going to watch a baseball hitter. His knee's back, and then he pushes off his back foot, his knee turns in. Same thing with the quarterback. His knee should turn in as he pushes off that back foot. But did that answer your question about launch point, launch angle? Yes.
No, it's all good.
When you open the front foot, you step to the target, or because you did it, then you turn your hips?
Yes.
When you came through with
Yes.
this?
Yeah.
Or do you step to the target?
Good question. It depends on the quarterback. Depends on the quarterback and their hips. Generally, if we throw a lot of our drills on a straight line, on the field line. So we'll pair up. And we'll have a quarterback here and here to work our drills. So if I was going to throw to him, and I'm standing right here, there's my body, my step is probably going to be just outside of that line. But it depends on the quarterback. If I step right at you, now it's going to be tough for me to open my hips. If I step too far, now I'm falling off to the side. So in order for me to get my hips open, I'm going to see how my foot opens up just a little bit off the line. My foot's going to open up a little bit, and then it's going to finish with me coming all the way through. So I couldn't follow through if I stepped right at you, because I'd have to try to come across my whole body. Am I out of time already? Darn, that was fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell them if they need a knee towel.
Yes.
Then book your flight, you come over the weekend, help them, and then you fly back.
Sure. 2 minutes really quick. Here, these are the fundamental drills that teach everything you need to know. We do all these on this line. So if you want to take pictures quick or write these down fast, go ahead. Right knee down. This eliminates all lower body. We're training just the release. Just the shoulder square, high release. Right knee down. Then we go left knee down. Left knee down, now we start to rotate our hips. So we square the same way, we finish through, and now I can rotate my hips. It's also warming up my hips. 2 knees down. Now I'm working on weight transfer. So my weight's a little bit back. Now as I throw, I push my hips forward. So I start to push my hips forward, and I'll actually catch myself on the ground. Okay? Then we're going to stand up and we're going to go feet parallel. Hip development. How fast I can snap my hips. I'll load up. See how my feet pivot? I'll load up. I'll throw my hips and snap through the throw. So start this way with your belly button. Finish the other way. Now I'm going to go opposite stance. So again, work on my hips. I'll load up and I'll finish all the way through. Work on snapping the hips. Load up, finish all the way through. Then we'll walk the follow through. So I'm going to come right to the target, full weight transfer, get the ball back. Walk the follow through, full weight transfer. Then we'll throw off our back foot. So while we're in a pass drop, plant your foot, snap your hips, and throw off the back foot. This trains the hip snap. It also trains the long lever. Because you can't throw it very far with your back foot doing this. You have to get a really high release. All right, well, I'm sorry I ran out of time, but I appreciate the chance to get all sweaty talking about quarterback.
The next guy which one is talking is the guy from England. So.
Yeah, I'm not going to take his Okay.
In a couple weeks you have to leave Europe, so you know.
Well, thanks again. I'll be back this afternoon if anyone has any questions.
Immer dieselbe. Nächstes Jahr sitzt du weg. Und du auch. Vor so einer Scheibe, wo man euch nicht hört.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sober up, so I'm back to not speaking German. I apologize. I have 2 sessions left. Before lunch, I'm going to be talking about quarterback play, quarterback development. And then this afternoon, after lunch, I'm going to be talking about what we do on the red zone and goal line. But I'm happy to answer any questions in either session about anything I've talked about, anything that you want to know about. Quarterback development is a pretty technical thing. It's a pretty specialized skill, so I'm happy to share what I know. In Texas, every little kid needs a private coach. Is it the same here? Probably not. In the summer and the off season, I supplement what I do coaching, and I'm paid pretty well. But I make they pay $150 an hour to coach a quarterback privately because it's a pretty specialized skill. So hopefully I can help you learn some things that I've done to help develop quarterbacks. So here's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about some of the mental requirements of the position. Then we're going to talk about some of the fundamentals, the techniques that we use. And then I'll share with you the drills that I use to develop our quarterbacks as well as we get into the pass game fundamentals. A little bit about what I've done with coaching quarterbacks. I played quarterback in high school and college. I actually broke my back while playing quarterback, and that's how I got into coaching. It ended up being a good thing. I've coached quarterbacks for 16 years. Every year I haven't. Some years as the head coach, I've had a quarterback coach, and then I didn't like that, so I brought it back to being mine. But for 16 of my 20 years or so, I've coached quarterbacks. Every starting quarterback I've had has been all conference. Not because I can coach them well, but we recruit good ones, and they make you look good. And then actually last year we had 2 all-conference quarterbacks on the same team. We shared time, they're both all-conference. 4 of them have played professionally. Actually, one of them has played for the Scorpions. They played at several places. My most recent graduating quarterback is playing arena football in the U.S. and enjoying that. He's in his 2nd year of his professional career there. My current quarterback, Fred here, led the NCAA this year in rushing yards and touchdowns by a quarterback. And we tailor what we do to the skills of our quarterback. Some years we throw it a lot because that's what our skills are. Some years we run it a lot. So we can tailor what we do to the quarterbacks that we have. So I'll talk about the requirements of the position. There's things that you have to do as much mentally, but also preparation-wise to be able to be a good quarterback. Before we talk about how to throw the ball and how to stand and all that, there's things that you have to mentally, in my opinion, make sure quarterbacks can do. And it's one of the things that eliminates guys. There's a lot of really good athletes, but just because you're a really good athlete doesn't mean you can execute what you have to execute to be a quarterback. And so I think I want to start with that. So the first thing we're going to do is the thought process. Before calling the play, so however you get the play to the quarterback, whether you signal it in, someone runs it in, it's on a wristband, before the quarterback calls a play, there's certain things that he has to mentally do every time. He has to know the down and distance. The down distance is key for things as basic as knowing which route of the progression do you want. If it's 3rd and 1, I want the guy in the flat for the first down. If it's 2nd and 1, I may want the deep guy. I may want the post over the top. So there's so many things about down and distance the quarterback has to understand. It also may key off, is this a good time to change the snap count, for example. The opponent's tendency for the situation. So what's their 1st and 10 defense? What's their 3rd and short defense? So the down and distance, again, keys so many things for the quarterback. What's the tendency for the situation? Now with tendencies, I don't overload our quarterback with percentages. On 1st and 10, it's 43% cover 4 and 33%, not a big deal. Here's what you're going to see most of the time. Here's one thing that may give you a problem. That's all he needs to be thinking about. And he'll be able to figure out the rest. So make them aware of the tendencies, but don't have them go in line of scrimmage. Well, there's a 34% chance. They don't need to do that. He needs to come up and see, is this base? Yes, perfect. It's not base, okay, I know what it is. Or is it the alert? Coach said if I see this, I need to be ready for whatever. So a few things need to be in his head, but not so many that it slows him down. Does down distance make one aspect of the play more desirable? I talked about that. If we're going to run a bootleg, do I want to hit the quick flat, or can I wait to see if the post over the top opens up, or the corner, whatever it may be? Snap count, should I change it? And then he has to be thinking about being commanding in the huddle. Now we do huddle, so it gives our quarterback a chance to look at players, and if he needs to say something, he can. Even if you're no huddle, everyone turns and faces the quarterback. He still has a brief moment where he can convey a message beyond what the play call is. Now it should be saved for a special situation maybe, but he needs to have command of what's going on. He needs to speak forcefully, clearly, and just being really in control of what's going on. So that's important. So before the play is even distributed, these are things the quarterback needs to be thinking about. And it all filters down from what's a down distance, because that tells you what the defense is going to do. It tells him what he should probably be thinking about doing, and on down. Okay, after he gives the play. So he now has to do what the quarterback does, which is call the play, distribute the play call out. He needs to go through his assignment. I talked yesterday about the offensive line pre-snap process. I saved the quarterback because I knew I'd go into depth. When I talked about our O-line thought process, our receivers, and our tight ends, this is the quarterback thought process. So he needs to go through what his assignments are and what his possible decisions may be. For us, on almost all of our plays, the quarterback has potential decisions. We have just a few plays where he's going to turn around and hand it off and then he can watch. We don't have very many of those. So he has potential decisions to make. Technique, hopefully it becomes second nature, but there are times where there's some freedom in how the quarterback's going to execute things. What type of pass drop is he going to take? So there may be some things where he has to think about a technique, though we want that to be second nature. Snap count, keeping in mind if there are motions or shifts, which we use quite a bit. He needs to review it in his own mind. Playing quarterback myself, I know I forgot the snap count before. It's on 2. And on 1, you start to lean a little bit. So you have to know the snap count also. And then we have to evaluate the defense. So as our quarterback comes up to the line of scrimmage, and it can be under center, it can be in the shotgun, you want the visual process, in my opinion, to be the same. That way they don't know what you're really looking for. So our quarterbacks are going to come up, and they're going to start from the left side of the defense, back to the right side, and they're going to go back to the left again. And you're actually a linebacker that I care about. And I didn't stop and do this, but I can see this as I go back and forth. And it becomes a routine that I can visually pick up peripherally what I need to see. So we go left to right and then back again. The first thing that we have to identify is the front. So as I'm scanning, I need to know the defensive front, and then I need to see the coverage. And in what we do, the front and the coverage are important for a quarterback. Not every play, but it's important enough that he has to watch it all the time so he knows what's going on in there. In some of our run game, we want to run to the 1 technique or the 3 technique. So he needs to know what's going on. He's looking for blitz keys. Things that may make the protection not good. Things that may mean it could be a pull or a give for him in our run game. And then obviously, as I talked about, he's talking about his first key. So if I'm going to key the defensive end or the outside linebacker, as I'm scanning the field, I'm seeing the DN and I'm seeing the outside linebacker, and I'm really not ever stopping to focus on. In fact, I may stop and focus on, when I get really good, I may stop and focus on things that I don't care about. I may do some of this. I don't care what you're doing. But if everybody sees what I'm seeing, that's fine. And that's kind of higher level for college players to be able to do that. But we want our guys to be able to be a part of that. And then he needs to hear the O-line calls. So he's on the same page with what the O-line is doing. Does it always matter? No. But when we do, it's going to matter enough that he needs to be up to speed on what's happening every play. So we haven't even snapped the ball yet, and there's an awful lot for this player to do, right? He can't just get the play and walk up and, okay, now I'm going to take the snap. That's not good enough. That separates being a good athlete versus being able to mentally execute what quarterbacks need to do. So we run the play. Hopefully it goes really well. After the play, it's good for quarterbacks to remember things like to verbally reward a good play. He needs to be verbally positive and have good sentiments to tell his teammates. And then even if you're huddling, even if you're in a 4-minute offense where you're not going fast, the quarterback needs to get people organized again quickly. So there needs to be hustle within the offense, and that's going to be generated by the quarterback. And then now we're back to where we restarted. Now we're back to that before the play thought process. So those are things that the quarterback needs to know. Now, will my quarterback write down these things like check mark by check mark? No. But we've trained him to do all these things, whether he knows it or not. He's doing all these things before and after the snap to be a good quarterback. Okay, some execution basics. And we're not going to get into the techniques and the biomechanics yet, but some execution basics for quarterbacks. And let's start with pregame. Things that the quarterback must be able to do before you play the game. So this is my checklist as much as a coach. My quarterbacks need to know this from me in as simple of a format as possible before we go out and play a football game. Number one, what is their base defense or base defenses? What are they going to see most of the time? And we will, as I mentioned, break it down into some down and distance tendencies. We'll play teams that are base 90% of the time on first down, so we can really know what is going to happen. And then second down, it may be different stuff. And then third down, we may have tendencies again. So if there's any big blocks of tendencies that we can pull out, we'll do it. When you look at down and distance, you also have to look at it based on what the team is. Some teams are 3rd and 1. They're in a different defense than 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3. Make sense? So you can't always just look 3rd and 1 to 3. Because 3rd and 3 may be base, and 3rd and 1 and 2 may be blitz. For some teams, it may be anything less than 4 is blitz. So I look at all of it, and then I break it into the segments that make the most sense for play calling and for quarterbacks to know the tendencies. And again, do they have to memorize the percentages? No. But they need to know the things that they're most likely to see and how to react and adapt to the things that they're most likely to see. Their favorite stunts and blitzes. The blitzes are more pertinent to what the quarterback's going to do from a protection standpoint or a run check standpoint than the stunts, but it's good to know where the stunts are coming from. We don't focus a lot on a ton of individual players, but if there's some fantastic pass rushers, I want him to be aware of that, more so that he knows where things may come from than worrying about it. You never look at the pass rush, but there's a few, maybe 1 or 2 a year. We played a team, the defending national champion that has 2 NFL prospects in their defensive line. We had to worry about those 2 guys. Head and shoulders better than anyone that we played. How do they defend reads and options? We do a lot of reads and options in our run game, so our quarterback needs to have a basic idea of what to expect. Now this is one situation where I do not over-prepare because you have to react to play football. Because if you watched yesterday, we have triple option components in our offense. Teams will change what they normally do. All week we could watch them, they play a typical zone read team, one back, and they'll always contain and give the dive. Well, we'll prepare for that, and then they'll have totally different triple option roles. And all of a sudden they're coming out, and when we do it, and we run our dive path, now they're tackling the dive, and the quarterback's expecting them to give the dive. So we'll prepare them with what we expect them to do, but the quarterback has to go out and be an athlete. So I don't drill into them, they're going to take the dive, they're going to let you pull it. But we want them to be aware of how they're playing it. This is something that really is going to develop maybe over the game more than anything. We want to, again, I want to prepare quarterbacks for what to expect, but I don't want to take the reaction out of their pass game. How do they play pass? If the linebackers get a pass read, which we don't give too many of them, do they pattern match? Do they spot drop? Just what are their keys going to do, and how are they going to react? Do they drop flat? Do they go to the sticks? Other players to attack, and that's not, our quarterback doesn't call plays, so he's not really worried about it, but I want him and I to be on the same page as far as players that we may go after. We may want to pitch off a specific linebacker, for example. We may not want to pitch off an end. We may want to block the end and pitch off a linebacker. He needs to know what I'm thinking. Short yards and goal line defense. Again, this is kind of a down distance thing. The red zone defense, and when do they go to it? Again, you can't just look at the 20-yard end. Some teams don't care about the 20. It's when they get to the 9. You cross that 10-yard line, now they're in a red zone defense. Some teams change to 25. So you have to look at each team and find out how they break down those field zones. I would also put being backed up by your goal line is another situation that you want to have your quarterback prepared for what you're going to do and what they're going to do. And the reason, especially for short yardage and red zone, is things happen really fast. They're going to be more pressure. They're going to be rushing more defenders, tighter coverage. They need to be able to move fast. Are there any rush drop combination players? Are there guys that could rush, that could drop, that could be difficult for us to identify what they're going to do? And what plays of ours need to be changed or checked out of? So within our system of plays, are there any that he may need to make changes to? Are there specific blitz checks that we may need to get to? And then we'll rehearse those throughout the week. So he won't have them. When we go into the game, I wouldn't say to our quarterback, what are the 3 plays you got to check out of? But he knows it because we've practiced it. So when we call those plays and he sees those cues, he's going to be able to react and get us where we need to be. Okay, a couple of general things that a quarterback has to do during the game. He needs to always be calm, no matter what's going on. He needs to speak clearly, and eye contact's a big thing. Anytime you avoid eye contact with somebody, you're nervous. Something's going on if you don't want to look him in the eye. So a quarterback has to be thinking about eye contact. Be positive. Quarterback mistakes ruin everything. So no mistakes on audibles. You can't drop the snap. You can't go the wrong way. The quarterback has no room for silly mistakes. Does that mean he can go a whole season without throwing an interception? No. But he can't just drop the snap when you throw it to him. That kills the whole offense. So those are things that he has to eliminate. So there can be no mistakes on those things. End every drive with a kick. That's an offensive goal for us. A punt's a good play. You gain more yards on a punt than just about any other offensive play. So it's got to be a punt, a PAT, or a field goal. Again, keep players moving. No matter what phase of the game you're in, you don't want you guys walking around on the field. It's just you want to move it. You want some urgency in what they're doing. Get them where they're going to go. Again, I'm not saying you have to play super fast, but get to your huddle, get to your positions, keep it moving around. And then the quarterback needs to be worried about changing the snap count. And I think that's something they can work on no matter what level it is. If it's easy for the defense to know when to go, they have an advantage. You don't have to do it all the time, but you've got to have something in there where you go on a quick count, where you go on a hut. You don't have to do it a ton, but you have to be able to change it up a little bit. The easiest way to do it is to take your base cadence and make it shorter. No one will jump outside that. So for example, our base cadence is down, color number, so white 10, set hut. That'd be our normal. And if we said quick, we would just go down, set hut. We'll just cutting out that little bit that throws the defense off. So we never jump. We don't make it longer. We usually make it shorter if we want to change the snap. We're not trying to get a 5-yard penalty. We're trying to keep the defense from reacting really quickly. And that's the quarterback's job. Okay, 2-minute offense I think is really important. Hopefully you guys will have some interest in learning about 2-minute offense. So the quarterback needs to know how to save time. Time is at a premium when we're in a 2-minute offensive situation. Obviously, run plays quickly. Don't waste time at the line of scrimmage. Now you're going to use that short snap count, so you need to have a way to get the ball snapped fast no matter what. Players have to know to get out of bounds. We mentioned the quick snap counts. You have to get up fast. When you're calling timeouts, the timeouts have to be called quickly. Spiking the ball, we'll talk about. Substituting players that are too far downfield, I think, is underutilized. And you can do this if someone's on your sideline. But you'll have to rehearse this. But your receiver should be able to know what's going on. So if we're in a 2-minute situation, and this is the field, and this is our sideline, and this wide receiver runs a deep pass, and he doesn't get the ball. He can come off, and this guy can come on and get lined up really fast. You see on the NFL on TV, these guys are jogging back, and the clock's running. And by the time he gets back, there's 10 seconds that are lost. Well, if it's on the far sideline, there's nothing you can do about it. But if it's on your sideline, you should have another player ready for him to come off and him to come on. Very underutilized way to save time in the 2-minute offense. It just takes a little bit of practice. And all it needs is if I'm his backup, so I'm ready to go, and I'm watching him. So I'm on the sideline, he runs a deep play, he's going to probably come off the field and wave, I'm on, I come in, I get set, and I'm ready to go. So that's a really good way to save time. Substitute players that are too far downfield. Okay, how to stop the clock. The quarterback has to know how to stop the clock. Spike the ball. Intentional incomplete pass, calling timeout. Any incomplete pass stops it. Running the ball out of bounds stops it. Getting the first down stops it temporarily for us in college rules. A penalty will stop the clock, and an injured player will stop the clock. But the quarterback has to know how to stop the clock and when and why it stops. Okay, here's some mechanics of executing it for coaches and for quarterbacks.